So close you can almost taste it.
What? You just gonna walk away? Time to bring the juice.
Never leave a fit behind. Rip it, and bring the juice.
That flavor's just out of reach.
Drop the Legos and bring the juice. Yee.
An argument ensues over who the future of WWE is. Speaking of the future, Royce Keys and Out the Mud are on Raw. Who is next in line for the Women's World Championship and so much more? This is the Raw recap on WWE Now, a WWE and Fanatics original production. Oh, Megan Morant, here we are. Raw recap time. Sam Roberts, Megan Morant, and Megan. I mean, I cannot wait to get into this conversation about Braun Breaker and Obafemi. There was so much meat on that bone during the contract signing. So many elements to discuss, and I thought we might start there until, out of nowhere, Royce Keys and Out the Mud invade Monday Night Raw to end the show. It was almost like, in terms of debuts, it was almost like the Shield meets the Nexus in terms of just like utter chaos and the fact that they weren't necessarily on anybody's side.
Not on anybody's side, but also not on anybody's radar either. I mean, the reaction.
Nobody saw it coming.
Who is that?
Right.
Who just appeared with Royce Keys? Oh my gosh, it's Out the Mud. Which, Sam Roberts, you've been an OG OTM guy.
I was saying Out the Mud was my favorite tag team so long ago. You were looking at me crooked.
I was.
I'm like, I love those guys. But so Bronco Nima, Lucian Price, Royce Keys show up to end Monday Night Raw, and you were saying that you were smelling something fishy to end Raw because, and you didn't see anybody coming out. You weren't thinking about Royce Keys.
No.
You weren't thinking about Bronco Nima,
No.
Lucian Price.
No.
None of them.
No.
You had your hater radar up, which they call it a hadar, and you had it way up going, I don't trust Solo Sikoa is what you said. That's what you said.
That is how I felt heading into the main event tonight, because there was a moment backstage before LA Knight made his entrance and Solo Sikoa made his entrance where we got to see a very different side of Solo Sikoa. A very sincere Solo Sikoa. A very sensitive Solo Sikoa. And as much as I love where Solo's at, that didn't feel good.
Wait, that's because sincerity is like,
Well,
for you, it's repellent.
you have to just throw it back at me as if this is a me problem.
I've
never seen that side of Solo, so I was suspicious.
There's literally zero relationships on Monday Night Raw that you look at and go like, oh, that's a friendship that's going to stay together. The minute any connection is made between any two people, you're waiting for someone to get thrown through the barbershop window.
I'm just suspicious. I went to
Always. You live your life
journalism school
suspiciously.
because I was so suspicious. I said, I got to get to the bottom of all of this.
Skeptic. You should be skeptical, not suspicious. Suspicion, that's a negative quality. You should be skeptical, but you are suspicious. That's correct. But what you should have done if you were a journalist is figured out that there's a bunch of big dudes with bandanas around their faces walking around backstage at Monday Night Raw.
I wasn't on the scene.
That's what we should be worried about. I mean, out of nowhere, like, forget about trying to figure out who Out the Mud was. Just mid-match, all of a sudden, like, Jey Uso or whoever it was goes careening through the barricade. And at first, it looked like, did Jimmy just get thrown into Jey and a Solo? Like, it looked like all three. And then wait, that's not Jimmy. Who is that? He's also dressed in black. It was Royce Keys with a bandana on. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you didn't see it coming, but you should have seen it coming. Like,
yes.
and I think, and I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but I think that the reason this is happening is because we didn't see it coming. At SummerSlam, it was Royce Keys, LA Knight, and Solo Sikoa.
Yes.
It was the three of them. And that was a whole story that was built around Roman Reigns making it clear to Jacob Fatu that Royce Keys is not your family. I don't care if you guys came up together. I don't care how long you've known him. He's not blood. And remember when Jacob Fatu looked at Royce Keys and he said,
You are not my family.
You're just one of the boys. I'm bloodline. And it's like, okay, so the line's drawn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to SummerSlam with that chip on Royce Keys' shoulder.
Yep.
But coming off of SummerSlam, what has the narrative been? Solo Sikoa and LA Knight won.
That's right.
That's what everybody's
forgotten about Royce Keys until tonight.
Nowadays, everybody want to talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips, just a bunch of gibberish. And what is that? Because they forgot about Royce Keys, is what everybody has been saying.
You just come up with that?
Just off the top of my head just now. You know, it's just an observation that I made. Yeah.
Bars.
Oh, thank you. I didn't even
Bars.
consider it that. But I have to say that we should have. I mean, and that's kind of been the story of Royce Keys since he got to WWE. Is this sort of like everybody's like, oh, he could be something big, but then out of sight, out of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, and it's only been, whatever it's been, 3 weeks since SummerSlam, and out of sight, out of mind. Everybody is obsessed with the story of Solo Sikoa and the relationship that's building between Solo and LA Knight, to the point that you're sitting there talking to me. Do you think that LA Knight can trust Solo Sikoa?
That's what I was asking you.
Of
Heading into
course.
the main event. I'm looking at you. I said, I don't feel good about this. I know I'm the number one Solo fan here. I told you last week.
You're not the number one.
Number one.
You're not, because you don't.
Pew, pew,
you don't.
pew, pew.
You don't believe him.
Pew pew. But tonight, after I saw Sympathetic Solo, I said, no. I'm so worried about this relationship.
So you like rough Solo.
Yeah.
You like Solo Dolo.
Solo Dolo.
But you don't like sympathetic Solo.
No,
Gotcha.
not when he gets
Okay.
sensitive. Sensitive Solo.
Sensitive.
that-
You don't like sentimental Solo?
Do that on your own time.
I gotcha.
Pew, pew.
I gotcha. You're not an emotions person, huh? You're action.
Leave those at the door.
Right. That's right. We locked those away a long time ago. We don't have any room for those in our lives. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay,
That's correct.
I understand.
That
I
is
understand.
100% correct.
I understand.
Pew, pew.
Pew pew. You know what I mean? I thought we were all having a good time, guys.
I see the emotions coming and I go, pew, pew.
Party's over. Pew pew. I got it. It makes a lot of sense. It's an escape after all.
That's
isn't
right.
it?
That's right.
But okay. But that's my point, right? And I'm sitting there going, no, this is great. LA Knight is evolving because that to me it was the story more so. I thought the thing that I was paying attention to in those same interactions was that, yeah, you're right. Solo is kind of being actually nice. No, for real. I just want to say thank you. But LA Knight, and I mean, this goes back to when we interviewed him at Fanatics Fest when he said, I'm trusting Solo for one night. This goes back to SummerSlam, the night after SummerSlam. You remember when Solo, got beat by Jey Uso? LA Knight wasn't there to watch his back because he was like, no, we're not like that. You had my back for one night and that was it. That was the deal. And so I'm like sitting there looking at LA Knight's emotional evolution, that he's evolving as a human, that he's actually trusting Solo Sikoa. So at the same time, you're going, I don't know if I like Solo being a genuine human.
Yes.
I'm going, I don't know if I like LA Knight letting those walls down that he's built up around himself.
Letting people in on his business.
Yes.
Because that's something, even when we did the sit down with LA, he talked about.
Yes.
Not with any groups. It's LA Knight's game.
But how far can you go by yourself?
That's right.
Right? And
So we're seeing that unfold.
And so he's built these walls around. And so, but this whole time, right, we're looking at the complexities of that relationship and how it relates to the bloodline.
Yes.
How it relates to the Usos, how it eventually, hopefully for LA Knight, relates to Roman Reigns. Not one mention of Royce Keys.
No.
Nobody's sitting there going, oh, and maybe Royce Keys will join Solo and LA Knight. Nobody's sitting there going, hey, what about, the bloodline not allowing Royce Keys to be a part of this thing? Nothing. So what does Royce Keys do? He takes action into his own hands, realize he's the one who doesn't have any friends. Forget about Pew Pew, Solo Sikoa. Forget about LA Knight going like, well, I've got boundaries. It's Royce Keys that has had no friends and no support throughout this whole thing. And the people who said they had his back at SummerSlam, ever since SummerSlam, where have they been? Where have they been going like, oh, we got one more guy? Where have they been advocating for Royce Keys? Nowhere. And so he comes out and apparently he's got friends that everybody didn't account for. He's got a history without the mud, with Lucian Price, with Bronco Nima. And I mean, they show up and they run roughshod, take out the Usos, take out Solo, take out LA Knight. And they're the ones at the end of the day that are standing tall. I mean, and you got to look, and the fact that like Royce Keys, it wasn't just a beat down of everybody. It was like, hey, Jay, I'm going to hold you up and I'm going to make you watch what we do to your brother. And you know, the thing about Royce Keys is that ever since he debuted in the WWE at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, at the Royal Rumble.
Right. And then went on Steph's podcast.
Yes.
This story of where Royce comes from. And it's been an emotional story and an emotional journey. And it's been, boy, I'm so glad he got out of it. Boy, Royce Keys, he's just a good guy. Boy, and it's almost like you don't give credence to where Royce Keys comes from. It's almost like you forget what Royce Keys is capable of. That, yeah, he's escaped where he came from. But where he came from will do to a human.
Yes.
What it puts inside of a human being. And tonight, after 8 months on the main roster, Royce Keys is like, apparently I have to remind everybody, hey, out the mud. Let's get back in the mud. And that's and I honestly.
And what a way to get back in the mud, taking out the Usos.
And
Solo Sikoa.
And
LA Knight. But one question for you.
Go ahead.
Where was Jacob Fatu?
Jacob Fatu was exactly where they told him to be. The captains, what did Roman say? Roman said, you are made guys.
Yes.
The Usos are made guys.
Made men.
Made men. The Usos are my captains. Oh, captain, my captain.
Yeah, the Usos are wearing the Ulafalas backstage, flash it in Jacob's face.
Right in his face.
You know Jacob doesn't like that.
No, because he called him a punk ass a minute before that. But he said, he said, you can't call me a punk ass anymore because if you disrespect me, you disrespect the tribal chief. Jacob Fatu, exactly where he was last week. Where was Jacob Fatu? I'll tell you where Jacob Fatu was. Jacob Fatu was in the place that the captains instructed him to be. Back there doing nothing. That's where he was. Because that's what Jey Uso told him to do. Matter of fact, you can go back there and you can sit in the corner and do nothing. And Jacob said, okay, then that's what I'll do. I'll go do nothing. That's exactly what I'll do. Okay, Roman, you want me to do nothing? Just, no. Don't get involved. Let me run this play. Okay, Roman.
Look at the last 2 weeks when Jacob Fatu hasn't been involved.
Okay, tribal chief, then I won't do nothing then.
And here's the Usos. Look at me.
Look at me.
Look at me.
What are they saying?
I am the captain.
I'm the captain now.
I'm the captain.
That's exactly what they're saying. We got a couple of Captain Phillips over there. That's exactly right. Climbing up on that ship. Yes. But like, you know, I mean, man, it's one of those, well, there was a phrase, malicious compliance was the phrase that was sent to me on the podcast this week. Do you think it was malicious compliance? Like when your boss tells you to do something and scolds you, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. In a demeaning way, says, "This, I'm your boss, this is what you do." And you go, okay. And you see a mistake's being made, but you go, he didn't tell me to solve the mistake. He told me to do this, so I'll do this. You told me to do it. We've all been there.
Of course we have.
We know what that is.
Of course we have.
I worked at the movie theater. Soda machine's broken. Sam, why didn't you fix the soda machine? You told me I was on popcorn. You know, we've been there. It's just,
And that's what Jacob Fatu's doing right now.
He's like Sam at the movie theater.
I mean, the Bloodline's all going to have to figure out a way to
Man,
run the orders, right? Call the plays.
You saw.
There's clearly an issue with play calling right now.
Well, to an extent. I mean, look, it brought them Solo. It didn't end up the way they wanted it to end up, but it brought them Solo. Listen.
And how'd that turn out? Solo's still with them?
No, not even a little. He's against them, as a matter of fact. But yeah, I mean, he's against. That's where he is. But Roman, you saw Jacob's face last week. Why did Jacob look like that? There were people, they were in my comments. They were going, well, you know, it's okay. Why would Jacob be mad that the Usos got Ulafalas? Jacob got an Ulafala.
It's just a different color.
It's a different thing. They mean different things. Roman said what they meant. Jacob got an Ulafala when he first acknowledged the tribal chief. Why did Jacob get the Ulafala? Because the tribal chief was letting Jacob know he was no longer an outsider.
You know what it was like?
What?
It was like when you first got hired by WWE
Right.
and they gave you your backstage credential.
Right.
And they're like, Sam, listen, welcome to the family.
Right.
You're no longer an outsider.
Right.
We're going to let you backstage.
Right.
And you were like, what an honor, right?
What an honor.
Yeah.
And then I walked into the writer's room and they go, that's not what your
You gotta
credential
get outta
says.
here.
that's not the same credential. And I
Like,
was
get
like,
this mark out of here.
that's right. They said, who invited? They said, I know Sam works here, but who invited Mark?
You said,
And I had to
have
go.
a credential.
And I had to go, but I have a credential. And I looked at like what Jake. They said there's a different.
They said it's a wrong
There's
Ulafala.
levels to this. Okay, these are the made guys in here, and that's what happened when Jacob is looking at the Usos being made captain. They're made guys. If you disrespect them, you're disrespecting the tribal chief. That wasn't said about Jacob ever. Jacob is looking at this, realizing exactly what you said about calling plays, which is a hierarchy exists. And the same way that the Usos were looking crooked at Jacob when Jacob was Roman's number one guy, when Jacob was right by Roman's side, when Jacob was the guy that Roman was counting on, the Usos were looking crooked. And the minute Roman goes, these are the guys that got it done. Not the three of them, those two. Third guy, Jacob Fatu, is looking at the Usos, and he's not happy. And then Roman tells him to stand back. And he goes, then I'll stand back then. And that's why he got confronted tonight on Raw. When the Usos said, well, where were you? What were you doing? I was doing what the tribal chief told me to do.
Because that's who he takes orders from, not Jay's punk ass.
Jay corrected him quick. You should sit back here and do nothing, is what he said. And so, when push came to shove and the numbers were against him, Solo and LA Knight, that's two. The Usos should have a third, but they didn't. It was Royce Keys, Lucian Price, and Bronco Nima that had three. And Jacob Fatu was just sitting in the back. You know what he was doing, right?
Nothing.
That's right. That's exactly right. Because we reap what we sow.
They got to get it together. I think Jacob Fatu could have dog walked their ass.
He could have, but he was asked not to. He was asked not to. And it's like, I don't know. Sometimes you got to look at the tools you have in your toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have at your disposal? And is everything being utilized properly?
Got to play the hand you're dealt, you know?
For Jacob. Yeah. But like, if you have a Jacob Fatu, you don't tell him to do nothing.
You play that card.
You play that card. You understand that, look, it's going to be played in a certain way because this card only functions one certain way. But boy, if it's on your side, it's a helpful thing to have. I think that that's what you have to be doing when you've got a group of people that are this talented. When you have a group of people like the Bloodline that are the tippity top of everything in the industry, if you're going to be the guy who's running all that, you have to know where everybody's specialty lies and how to manage in a certain way. You know, it's not the old days where everybody was just going to be kind of crushed under your thumb. And that's what we're seeing kind of spill out. You know, at the beginning of the show, LA Knight started and Solo to go. Now, when Solo starts doing LA Knight's lines, when Solo starts coming out and saying, yeah, do you trust Solo then?
Oh, I'm having a great time with
You
Solo
like that?
then. Yes. I'm
You
having
like where
a great
Solo's at.
time. I love where Solo's at.
You love where Solo's at right
Yes.
now. And then LA Knight, after like two of them, because remember when we interviewed him at Fanatics Fest, he didn't like that I kept doing his lines to
He
him.
said, all right. you
That's
got
enough.
Yeah.
He did it with Solo.
Taking his pops, you know?
That's true.
Come
That's
on.
true. Yeah, he's really got to
You
worry
do
about
that a lot.
with me. Well, I like him, but it feels good. You don't have to work for him. And somebody else did all the work. You just get to, well, but Solo, and then he goes, that's enough, Solo, and this is your warning shot. And it's like, okay. It's cute.
Gamesmanship.
It's cute what's going on between the
Yes.
two of them. You know what I mean?
You're almost
and then
like, you know, flirting, right? Bromance.
bromance.
Yeah,
bromance flirting. Bromance flirting for sure.
Like
It's-
you could really tell that this relationship has blossomed into a friendship.
Yes.
At this moment.
Yes. You think but you're uncomfortable with the idea of a bromance blossoming. You think something's got to give. You think the other shoe's going to fall.
Well, that's when Solo got sensitive. When they're having fun and they're using each other's lines and we're pew-pewing and we're let me talk to you. I'm like, oh, this is
every
great. We're
great
having a good time.
Megan.
And then when Solo gets emotional in the back, I too far for me. Too much too soon. Let's just have a nice friendship. If we get to the emotions later, we get there. But for right now, we're just going to have a good time.
I can't imagine what it's like to be like friends with you. You're terrible.
That's such an insult.
You're terrible. Because if you're going to have the bromance, you got to have that one moment where you're like, I love you, dude. And you're the type of guy that's like, it's going like, whoa, bro, what are we doing here, bro? What are we doing? And it's like, what?
Love, whoa.
Whoa, dude. What are you talking about? It's like, what? I thought we had a real connection here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's something you wait for. Like, maybe we've had a couple cocktails. It's been a long time.
They went through SummerSlam
I
together.
love you. But listen, we're on like week 2 of this friendship. Let it cook a little. Let it cook.
Quick. WWE moves quick. And the Usos come out to challenge him for the match at the end of the show. You see how Solo avoided the warning shot? He matrixed out of it. Solo was able to avoid. Jay hit him with a warning shot again. This, your warning shot. Wow! And then Solo Sikoa was able to matrix, Keanu'd himself away from the warning shot. Solo is the one. Solo is the one.
And he's got the shirt on that says pew pew.
Pew pew. Yeah, he's got his pew pew shirt on. And he's matrixing away from the bullets. And look, LA Knight's trying to avoid the bullets too. LA Knight's behind him, trying to make sure that he doesn't get hit with the bullet either.
Listen, they gave him a warning shot.
Right. And he's like, whoa, matrixed out of it. Want to make sure everybody's okay. Just wanted to make sure everybody's okay. And then the match gets made, and we get a LA Knight going, yeah. And then Solo Sikoa going, pew. And you're just like, where do these things come from? And of course, it all ends in utter chaos without the mud and Royce Keys completely taking over Monday Night Raw. But I've got to tell you, we got a lot to talk about. I told you I want to talk about the Obafemi and Braun Breaker segment.
Massive.
But before we get back to Raw, we got to talk about the main event that's happening in your own home, okay? Look, life is basically, it's like SummerSlam every single day. A high-stakes gauntlet where the responsibilities just keep coming. It feels like you're constantly making trade-offs between the things you have to do and the things you actually love. That's why we're celebrating those moments where you refuse to tap out. It's time for the Minute Maid Juice Break, where we highlight those everyday wins that deserve a massive pop. And I'm telling you, Megan, over the weekend, I'm sitting at home. I'm watching WrestleMania 7. As one does. I'm watching WrestleMania 7.
Saturday.
That's right. Stars and Stripes forever. And I'm watching, and it's Sergeant Slaughter's entrance. And I'm getting real hyped up,
Yeah.
Because I can't wait for Hulk Hogan to come in and just tear him limb from limb for this great land of ours. It's the land of the free, baby. And my wife goes, Sam, you got to take out the garbage. I go, are you kidding me?
Right now?
We're about to do this for the US of A. These colors don't run, babe. That's what I said to her. And she goes, yeah, but you're going to have to run if you don't get the garbage out of here. Get the garbage out of here. The dog's starting to eat it.
She didn't get it, huh?
And I'm sitting there and I'm watching WrestleMania 7. And she goes, have you seen this one before? And I go, have I seen this one before? It's WrestleMania 7. Yeah, I've watched it a couple times. But I don't see, that's neither, first of all, you wouldn't say this one. And second of all, that's neither here nor there. But you know what? I said, happy wife, happy life. I got to do this one for my family.
Smart man.
As I was watching General Adnan lead the way, I laced up my shoes as if they were yellow boots like Hulk Hogan. And I grabbed that trash can and I ran outside. I got the trash can out and I pointed to the front door from the outside. I hulked my way up and I ran right back in just in time to hear Rick Derringer scream, when it comes crashing down and it hurts inside. And I realized I can have my cake and eat it too. I didn't tap out. I took out the trash and I still got to watch Hulk Hogan beat Sergeant Slaughter at WrestleMania 7. Spoiler alert.
That didn't even really happen.
Court, you think that didn't happen?
I don't think that happened.
Why? You think I didn't take the trash out or didn't watch WrestleMania 7?
The first, the former.
Okay.
The former.
Whatever. That was my weekend.
Great. Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
It was awesome.
And I'm glad you took the trash out.
That was a grind, but I got the 3 count, baby.
I don't know how I'm even going to follow that one. Mine is so lame compared to that.
Don't bother.
Well, I have a daughter who's into pretend play, which is very exciting because, sooner or later we're going to be into figures and we're going to be able to put our wrestling matches together. We got some time, but for now, putting baby in the high chair is very fun, and feeding the baby baby food is fun.
Great time.
So the other day I recognized how much she liked this. I went on Amazon, I ordered a high chair, and it came at last night around 10 o'clock at the front door. And I said, I got to build this thing right now because her face in the morning is going to be priceless when she walks down the stairs and sees her pretend baby doll in a high chair. So I start to build it myself, and these directions, far too difficult.
I get it.
I got screws. I got an Allen wrench.
Northwestern's not what it used to be.
It's not. They're saying that these days. More expensive, but not a good value.
You can't get your high chair built.
Well, it was more of a 2-person job.
I see.
And I was trying to do it myself solo. I looked at the clock
Dolo?
and I said, solo dolo. I said, wow, it would be great to just crawl into bed and go to sleep right now. But I said, I can't tap out.
No.
I'll never tap out. It's all going to be worth it. So I built that high chair. It took me an hour and 15 minutes.
Right.
It was worth every
You-
second of the joy. That's true, but your story was way better.
Yeah, my story was better because yours is made up.
It's not made up.
You didn't build that high chair. And I bet your daughter sat in it and it fell apart immediately. You didn't build that high chair. That's a lie.
Dare you wish that.
Well, I didn't wish it would happen. That's what would happen because you did not build that high chair. That's a lie of a story if I've ever
Blister
heard
in
one.
my hand this morning.
Minute Maid, you don't have any blister.
I did.
Minute Maid and WWE are tag teaming your daily grind, bringing main event energy to life's everyday matches, even if you lie about them like Megan. Together, we're turning the toughest rounds into moments worth cheering for.
From the ring to WrestleMania 7 and real life, Minute Maid and WWE are here to help you bring the juice when the day tries to tap you out.
Never tap out on taste. Bring the juice. I said that like a no holds barred. Zeus. It's another thing I watched over the weekend.
Zeus and WrestleMania 7?
No holds barred, the film. It's a great film. But you talk about films, you talk about great stories. Let's talk about the story that we witnessed in the ring. Let's talk about Obafemi and Braun Breaker meeting in the ring for the contract signing. Adam Pearce and Paul Heyman stand together and say, without further ado, let's get this thing going. Here is Obafemi. Obafemi walks out, casts a shadow over the entire arena, struts his way to the ring. Paul Heyman says, with all due respect, let's bring out one who many believe is the future of the WWE.
He said you can't talk about the future of WWE without talking about fear of the spear.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, Braun Breaker.
The hardest hitting athlete in all of WWE.
That's not how he said it, though. You said it at like a level 8, 9. Now it's great the way you just did it.
Thank you.
Heyman was at like a level 6. I'm just saying I noticed it. I've been a student of Paul Heyman's for a very long time, okay? I was watching Paul Heyman lead the Dangerous Alliance on WTBS. I know, if there's anything I know in wrestling, it's Paul Heyman. And I've watched the way he introduces Stunning Steve Austin, and I've watched the way he rallies the ECW troops before Barely Legal, and I've watched the way he talks about Brock Lesnar and CM Punk and Roman Reigns. And I am telling you that introduction that Paul Heyman gave Braun Breaker did not have the Paul Heyman stank on it that I'm used to seeing, and I noticed it immediately. And under anybody else, if it was anybody besides Paul Heyman, I would give the benefit of the doubt and say, who knows? Maybe an off night, maybe intentional, maybe not. But there has never been one word or action that Paul Heyman has taken in his certainly entire career, maybe entire life, that has not been intentional. He's never done anything unintentionally, ever.
You trying to tell me everything counts?
I'm trying to tell you Everything counts. And Paul Heyman, he said all the right words. Again, what? That's what I said.
Said he was the hardest hitting athlete in all of WWE.
I said fear the spear, but he didn't say fear the spear.
That is how Paul Heyman would say it.
You see now?
You're
you see what I'm saying?
1,000% right.
Right.
Because when he got up there and said, fear the spear, hardest hitting athlete in all WWE, I thought, I should probably write that down. He's
He said
putting
the
him
words.
over. He said the words, but he didn't deliver the words.
That's the difference.
The way Paul Heyman does.
And I said, from the very beginning, Paul Heyman is up there with Adam Pearce. And I go, what's Paul Heyman's role in this? Why is he standing up there like an official? Why is he not walking
he
his
did
person?
get the match made.
For whom? This is not
don't
the
know.
traditional spot for Paul
We don't know.
Heyman. For whom was the match made?
We don't know.
And he's standing in the ring as if he's the promoter of the match, not the representative of either athlete. What is his role in this match? And yes, he says the right thing by Braun Breaker, but he doesn't do it with the same Paul Heyman energy that he usually has. So now Braun Breaker's out there, and Braun and Oba are sitting on either side of the ring, and Braun finally gets to tell his side of the story. Braun gets to tell Obafemi that he is not nearly as impressed with Obafemi as everybody else is. That Obafemi may have won the King of the Ring, and Obafemi may have beaten Brock Lesnar. He beat him twice, actually. But he says he hasn't won any championships. Braun Breaker takes it back, and I think this is the most solid argument that Braun Breaker has. He says, I was the one that everybody said that about.
8 months ago.
8 months ago, I was the one everybody said it about. And then I got hurt. Braun Breaker's been Intercontinental Champion. Braun Breaker is a current Tag Team Champion.
talks
Braun
about how
Breaker
the
has
crowd-
wrestled for the World Heavyweight Championship.
He talks about how the crowd was barking for him every time he was out there. It was undeniable at that time, before Braun Breaker was injured, that he was anything but the future.
And that he injured himself. He said nobody injured him. Hernia happened, and he was out. And all of a sudden, let your foot off the gas, even if you have no intention of doing so. You have no control over it, but it is what it is. The foot was taken off the gas, and somebody came in and snatched that spot.
Braun Breaker said, you stole my spot.
You stole my spot. And it was, Braun Breaker is looking around. And look, and this is a time. Braun Breaker's whole family is doing well right now. Do you see his cousin suplexing one of
I
the
saw
Dallas
his-
Cowboys?
Yes.
You can't walk around and be in that Breaker family without destroying somebody. Every sport is going to be dominated by that family. That's what Braun Breaker has to live up to, suplexing the Dallas Cowboys. But Oba is so unshaken by this. He looks at Braun Breaker and he says, you're an angry orange man, Braun.
Brawny boy.
Ronnie boy, angry orange man. It's like,
I didn't think, in fairness,
excuse me for hitting the tannin bed a little bit, okay?
in fairness to Braun Breaker's tan,
Yeah.
he's had some days where, I'll call a spade a spade. It's been a little orange.
Yeah.
Tonight, I didn't think he was nearly as orange
As he has been?
as he has been.
Okay, well, then you have to put it on the Braun Breaker tan scale.
Yes.
There would have to be a scale, and I would
reading on a
think
curve here.
If I showed up tonight with the tan Braun Breaker head tonight, then you'd be like, Sam, you look like a nectarine is what you would say. This is crazy. What's going on? But I guess that's because that's the Sam scale.
Yes.
Braun Breaker has been more orange, you're saying.
Yes.
But for Oba to sit there and be accused of taking his spot, for him to sit there and be like, the future's mine, I don't know who you think you are, for Braun Breaker to call him out and Oba be like, you're orange and you're angry.
Brawny boy. You're
Brawny
an orange
boy.
man.
Yeah.
And also the entire time that Braun Breaker is calling him out, Oba's sitting there
No.
so relaxed.
Relaxed. Comfortable in
Like
that
he's
ring.
been there for decades.
And he said, Braun Breaker, if you had come in 2002, you probably could have run with Cena. You would have been the future. And then he goes, if you had come in 2015, you probably could have run with the big dog, whoever that was. And I was like, oof. There's some shots being fired, some double shots being fired here.
Whoever that was, the big
Right.
dog.
Right.
Who was
Whoever
that again?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'd have to check.
And then he goes, but unfortunately for you, you came in 2026 and you can't run with me.
Timing's everything.
And you're just sitting there and like, it's almost like any sort of argument or logic goes out the window. And that's not to say it's illogical what he's saying, but that's to say like Obafemi presents things in a way where it's not up for debate. This thing's mine. Maybe it was yours, but it's not anymore. And you...
Things have changed.
Right.
In 8 months, a lot has changed.
And it becomes very difficult to argue.
And no, he doesn't have a world championship. But
It's because he turned down his title match
to face Brock Lesnar in his retirement match.
in SummerSlam in Hell in a Cell. You could argue, one could argue that had had Obafemi taken his title match, maybe he'd be champion right now. He chose not to take his title match because he had faith that he would get another title match in the future, but he wanted to prove himself.
And right now, I haven't seen anything from Obafemi that leads me to believe that he'd be anything but a champion if he capitalized on that opportunity.
Sure, but you can hypothetical till the cows come home. He doesn't have a belt.
It's true.
Braun Breaker does. To take away the fact that maybe this whole game belongs to Braun Breaker would also be a mistake. The idea, and Braun Breaker said that. Braun Breaker said that he likes the idea that people think that this is just going to be another Oba match, that Oba's just going to come in and steamroll him. And you know, my favorite part of the whole segment was when Braun Breaker gets right in Paul Heyman's face.
That was my note. You going to sign that? Or is your daddy going to sign it for you?
Yes.
Which also leads us back to what we were saying before. Paul Heyman, despite introducing Braun Breaker at a level that we don't see Paul Heyman introduce
I didn't think it was appropriate.
An appropriate level.
I didn't think so.
No. Considering Paul Heyman's standards,
Mm-hmm.
definitely not appropriate. And then Braun Breaker refers to Paul Heyman as Obafemi's daddy.
Yes.
The disrespect.
I mean, and going, because it was the first time, and I've been waiting for this moment. It was the first time that Braun Breaker's really stepped up to Paul Heyman and go,
Yes.
like, if you're, like, I'm not on your train. You are on mine. And if you're not on it, that's fine, but the train keeps moving. And he got right into Paul Heyman's face, and he says, put your name on the paper. Sign it. And Paul Heyman's going, what are you doing? What are you doing? Don't do this. Don't do this. What are you doing? Sign the paper. And then boom, cheap shot to Obafemi. Now look, before we get into the physicality of it all, he turns around after he's in the face of Paul Heyman. I love when he was in Paul Heyman's face.
Me too.
I love, because this whole segment was about Braun Breaker standing up for himself. The whole segment was about Braun Breaker reminding everybody, no, this is mine. I'm the guy. And then looking at Paul Heyman and going like, I'm not your puppy dog.
I'm not your meal ticket.
Right. I'm not following you. You're following me, or you're not going anywhere. But then he turns around and he sucker punches Obafemi. Here's my question to you. Was that interaction that I loved so dearly because it came across as authentic, and it was one of those moments where you felt a spark. Like, ooh, I think Braun Breaker just hit the next level. Was it that? Was it Braun Breaker fed up with the fact that if you're going to leave me on my own, then I'm going to be on my own, but I don't need to prove myself to you? Or is this whole thing just a game, and do Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker know exactly what they are doing? Are Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker leading Obafemi into a false sense of security? Did that interaction happen because they knew it was going to enable Braun Breaker to get a free swing in at Obafemi? As soon as Braun Breaker swung at Obafemi, I said, it's not out of character for Paul Heyman to come up with this idea where it's like, let's have the whole world think that you've had enough with me, because if you're in my face, Oba's not going to see it coming. You could take a swing at him. Is it at least possible that Paul Heyman was in on that, and the idea was so that Braun Breaker could turn around and take a swing at Obafemi?
You said if there's one thing you know in wrestling, it's Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
The fact that you just laid that out makes me so upset, because I was like, I have this all figured out. Braun Breaker and Paul Heyman, not together. But the fact that you just brought that up and the mind games that Heyman plays all the time, you cannot rule it out.
No way can you
can't
rule it out.
It
It's-
could be either.
Because it's like, oh, that's really convenient. Braun Breaker has the opportunity to punch Obafemi in the face right now, right? What great positioning. Except
How often do people have the opportunity to punch Obafemi in the face?
how many things that Paul Heyman does are unintentional? I just told you.
None.
0.
They're all intentional.
So is it possible that that was intentional?
Can I rule out that this wasn't a setup? No.
Boom. Now, look, if it was a setup, it didn't work out.
No.
It worked out for a hot second. Austin Theory gets in there, but then Austin Theory,
Goes through the table.
listen, and I get it. Maxine Dupree is a distraction. And God bless. You know what I mean? It's not, I don't understand how this could be. I get it.
You get it.
I get it.
Yeah.
But wait, the plan is to get in the ring with Obafemi? I worry that Austin Theory might have a little bit of Maxine Dupree on the mind at all times.
I mean,
And who could blame him? But when you're in the ring with Obafemi, it's best to stay focused on
yeah,
the
you
task
got to
at
get your
hand.
distractions out of the way, right?
Because the minute a weakness is smelled by Obafemi, it's you up in the air and spun and landing, crashing through a table. And that's exactly what happened to Austin Theory.
Blood's in the water.
That's it. That's it. Braun Breaker got out of there, but the match is set. The match is made. The contract is signed. September 6th.
I'm so upset that you brought this up about Paul Heyman. I really was going to leave tonight thinking one way. Now you got my head spinning.
Sorry.
I'm like, ugh.
I can keep you up tonight?
Yeah,
I'm
probably.
sorry.
I'm going to be
sorry.
thinking about this. Shoot.
You can't, nothing. I'm not saying it never is, but nothing that happens that involves Paul Heyman can ever fully be taken at face value ever.
No.
Ever, ever, ever. Every time Paul Heyman does anything, I look at the scene and I go, what are all the possibilities here? And which of those possibilities ends best for Paul Heyman? Because that's probably the one that's happening, whether we know it or not. Especially after Friday. You watch SmackDown?
Dude, I was texting you siren emojis.
I know.
I was waiting all weekend, refreshing that feed.
Oh, it went up. It went up on Monday morning. Cody Rhodes just dropping that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler, as if that's just a thing you could just say like that.
The earth shook.
Especially in the context of Randy Orton saying, you're a good guy. You don't know any other way. You're not the American Nightmare. You're the American Daydream. Oh, daydreams are so pleasant.
The best.
I mean, how many times have you sat there and been like, oh my God, remember when you're a kid and you're in high school and you're like, how am I going to get through class? And
You just daydream the whole time.
And then you get a great daydream. And all of a sudden, it's, you're booking an episode of Monday Night Raw in your head during the Attitude Era. You know what I mean? And you could, whatever this teacher's writing letters, numbers on the board. You don't even remember what class you're in. Because you're just sitting there going, what if DDP runs in the middle of the DX interview? You know what I mean? And now, because I'm daydreaming, you know what I mean? I got a Suck It shirt on. You know what I mean? Like, this is the life that I led at the time.
It was like when we were at WrestlePalooza and The Undertaker came out and sat next to Stephanie McMahon.
What did I
You
think had just happened?
Oh my gosh, The Undertaker's joining DX.
That's right.
You start daydreaming.
I said, what
the
could be
whole
happening
thing.
here? Oh my gosh. Who's Stephanie? Stephanie. I'm thinking now, backwards hat,
yes.
Stephanie, DX, Triple H.
Undertaker's there. he's
Finally,
joining.
Undertaker's in DX. We never got Green and Black Kane, even though some people think Green and Black Kane, but that's a Mandela effect. He never wore green and black with X-Pac. But we finally have, Alex just found out. He was like, I could have sworn he wore green and black. He did not. But I thought we had DX Undertaker. But that's all to say, daydreams are so pleasant.
Especially the American Daydream. Come on. What gets better?
I'll tell you what gets better. A real American nightmare. When you got this blonde bombshell Cody Rhodes running up on SmackDown and saying that's not a prediction, that's a spoiler.
And not long ago, Paul Heyman was on SmackDown with Cody and he said, sooner or later, they all need the wise man.
And where is this match that involves Paul Heyman, Obafemi versus Braun Breaker? Paul Heyman obviously involved. Where is that match taking place?
Oh, it's in Atlanta, Georgia, which is Cody Rhodes' hometown.
And what show is it on?
It is on Sunday night's main event.
And where is Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton?
That is also going to be on Sunday night's main event in Atlanta, Georgia.
Same night, same building,
That's
same
right.
town?
Yep, that's right.
Just
I think Paul Heyman is probably going to be there.
I would hope that he's going to be there. I'll tell you what. We'll be watching with bated breath. However, before we get there, I was just talking about, the Suck It shirt that I was wearing when I was in high school. These shirts, they keep coming out. They're better than ever. For instance, Stephanie Vaquer. We got to talk about Stephanie Vaquer. Stephanie Vaquer proves that she's one of the best superstars every single time that she steps between the ropes with her brutal offensive abilities and daredevil attitude. Show that you know she reigns supreme as La Primera by making this new logo t-shirt from WWE Authentic yours. It's now available at WWE Shop and Fanatics. And by the way, a WWE Championship is, of course, the pinnacle of sports entertainment. You can make your collection gold with the richest prizes in all of WWE by bringing home one of these championship replica title belts. These are now available at WWE Shop and Fanatics. You know, I have a replica spinner title with my name on the nameplate.
You do?
I know you were just thinking, Sam, I didn't think you could get much cooler. But
That's
you
exactly
did it.
what I was thinking.
You were?
did it. You
Thanks.
did it.
I appreciate that.
I know the spinner belt wasn't your era, but I'm glad that you have one with you.
It's all my era.
It's all. Yeah. it never
Every
stops.
era is my era. See?
What do you got?
I keep a spinner belt with me at all times. Boo, 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 boo. It's all my era, okay? And that's why I love these replica titles from WWE Shop. I'll put this down right
You're
there.
going to put it right there? Don't lose it. You can't go anywhere without your spinner belt.
No, I can't. Otherwise, people won't
Is
realize.
it synonymous with Cena for
I'm
you
the
or
champ.
Punk?
Cena, Punk. I mean, there's a lot of them. There's this spinner title belt. People don't like. They go, oh, that's Cena's belt. It was the championship for like
Yep.
almost a decade.
I know.
Everybody, the Sheamus, everybody. Miz with the W upside down.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people. Rock held that title. You know?
Wasn't just Cena.
No. For a moment, he did anyway. I mean, Rock. Cena held it for a long time. But we were talking about Stephanie Vaquer a moment ago. Stephanie Vaquer, it turns out, in 2 weeks, is going to get the shot against Liv Morgan. We saw her earlier in the night.
Yeah, it was her return match.
Return match.
First time we've seen her wrestle since WrestleMania.
Wow, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. She wrestled Roxanne Perez.
Which the last time we saw them backstage together, that was when the big noggin.
Was that the last time she was backstage with?
with Roxanne. That's when Liv Morgan got the goose egg.
Yeah, when they
and Roxanne
collided
Perez
before
was there.
WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one was the goose egg match.
The goose egg match.
They were calling it that. They weren't. But
Who's they?
no
just
one.
you?
It was no one. It was-
You and all your friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and no one.
Well, we both said the same thing there. So great match, obviously.
Yes.
Stephanie Vaquer versus Roxanne Perez is one of those like fantasy warfare matches for sure. But you had the Judgment Day out there at ringside. Judgment Day loves using numbers, and they should. You know, that's what happens when you have friends. But you had Liv Morgan out there. You had Raquel Rodriguez out there. Who comes out to help Stephanie Vaquer?
Becky Lynch.
Yo, girl.
My girl.
Becky Lynch. How did you feel about Becky Lynch coming to the aid of Stephanie Vaquer?
I liked it.
I like Byron Saxton.
I liked it.
I like him. What do you think about Oba, Byron Saxton?
I like
him. What do you think about Becky Lynch?
I like her.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Byron. Thank you, Byron, for the insight.
Becky coming
We
out.
need to get that as a soundbite. I like him.
I like it.
Like from 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, whenever Byron said it, we need to get an I like him soundbite. Because I feel like that's a Monday Night Raw moment that only us on Raw Recap have noticed at all. I feel like nobody else gives that Byron moment any love. And like we're obsessed with it here.
I really cannot wait to see him at Money in the Bank when we are boots on the ground next, I hope.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go right up to Byron and say, hey, Byron, first thing, before I even say hello, I'm just going to say, hey, what do you think of Oba Femi?
And then we're going to hope he says I like it. He's not going to have any idea because he doesn't know.
No, he has no idea.
But if you could get him to say, I'm going to make him like Mikey from the Life commercial. Hey, Byron, he likes it. But
get that as a drop.
yes, please. Please.
How did I feel?
How did you feel about Becky Lynch coming out and making the save? Because I know you love Becky Lynch. I know you love seeing Becky Lynch.
I
but
do.
at the same time, you have historically not liked when top superstars, especially women, get along. You said this about Rhea Ripley and Io. This was your cause du jour for months. How can they be friends? They're both so good. Now you've got Becky Lynch and Stephanie Vaquer, who both want that women's world championship that Liv Morgan has around her waist.
Yes.
They both have a similar goal, and there's no love lost in between them. However, they have a common enemy.
Yes.
In the Judgment Day,
And Liv Morgan.
specifically, Becky Lynch comes out to make sure that the Judgment Day doesn't get involved. How did you feel about Becky Lynch inserting herself into this match?
You know, her music caught me by surprise.
Right.
Because I said, Becky, you're too big for this. Don't get involved.
That's what you thought?
Well, I just thought, let Stephanie have her match back. You know, you don't need to get involved in this one right now. You don't need to help Stephanie right now. Worry about Becky's business.
Right.
But then when I saw Becky get in Stephanie's face afterwards and let her know, not only do you owe me once, you owe me twice. Because I helped with the distraction that led to the win for Stephanie Vaquer. And then when the Judgment Day was about to take Stephanie Vaquer out,
Liv Morgan jumped in the ring.
who was there to stop them? Becky Lynch.
When you
thanked
say
me twice.
Becky should have just paid attention to Becky's business, were you talking about the coffee?
That's right, yeah.
Amo?
Amo.
Yeah. That's her business.
That's her business.
Okay, so then how do you feel about the fact that we find out that in 2 weeks, Stephanie Vaquer gets the women's championship match?
See, I don't feel good about that.
She beat Roxanne Perez, though.
Without help from Becky Lynch.
Doesn't matter. Becky's the one who decided to help. I mean, what if Becky decided to help? Stephanie Vaquer uses the help. That's fine. But Stephanie Vaquer is the one who gets the dub.
That's where, to me, it's a little bit difficult.
You don't love that.
I don't love that because I'd like to see Becky have a shot at the Women's World Championship. And Liv Morgan hasn't exactly been a fighting champion.
What her goal, she made it very clear, is not to be the champion who's defended the title the most times.
Said she doesn't care.
I do, and I would agree with that. I've never seen somebody and been like, they have the record for defending the title the most times. I go like, that's like going to work the most days. That's like at the end of school, like at senior year, like when the kid gets like an award for having no sick days, like the perfect attendance
Yeah.
award.
You don't find that impressive?
No, did you ever go
Ken
like,
Griffey-
oh, look at it? If it's not the coolest kid in school,
What do you think of Ken Griffey Jr.?
or Cal Ripken?
Yeah, Cal Ripken.
Yeah, but he unplugged the lights that one time to keep his record going. Remember?
Cal Ripken, Ken Griffey Jr. Oof. You knew who I was talking about.
No, of course I knew who you were talking about. Yeah. Look, it's an impressive record.
You weren't impressed by it, though? You were like,
For
this
Cal-
guy's a tryhard?
No, when a kid says I have perfect attendance and gets a certificate for it, it's never been the coolest kid in school. Ever. Okay? Liv Morgan wants to be the longest reigning women's champion of all time. When we talk about title records, go over on the men's side. What's the first thing you think of when you talk about title records? Either who's held the title the most times, which is John Cena, the Never Seen 17. They call him the GOAT for it. Or who had the longest reigns. And you go to, in modern days, Roman Reigns, 1,316 days. You go beyond that, you go to the Hogans and the San Martinos and all that. But like, realistically,
No one's tallying up title defenses.
no.
And Liv Morgan knows that, which is why she says, I don't care.
I don't care. Jack Tunney's not here to defend the 30-day rule. That is a Jack Tunney rule.
We love bringing up Jack Tunney.
Well, Jack Tunney was the first authority figure that I respected growing up in my life.
In my life.
But yeah, I mean, that title's out the window. That rule's out the window. So there's nobody enforcing that rule. Like, that almost goes back to the general managers. You know what I mean? If you want somebody defending the title every 30 days, make it a rule. Because if that's not a rule, you're insane for defending the title every 30 days. Why? Why not be the longest reigning champion of all time?
I understand what Liv Morgan's doing, and it's very logical. But I also don't like it. And two things can be true.
Do you not like it because out of principle, or do you not like it because it's somebody besides Becky Lynch doing it?
I don't like it out of principle. I like my champion to be a fighting champion.
You do.
I do.
You do.
Call me old school, but that's what I like.
Sure, if Becky Lynch won the title and stopped defending it, you'd be like, I'm really
She
bothered.
would never do that.
Oh, I see.
She would never do that.
Oh, I didn't realize. Okay.
She would never do that. Did she ever do that with the Intercontinental title
No, she defended it.
and the Women's World Championship she's held?
Yeah, she's defended. I'm not casting any dispersions. So in 2 weeks when we see this match,
If Stephanie wins, she has a big, her first match should be Becky because Becky helped her get there.
what if Stephanie loses? Who should Liv face next?
Probably Becky Lynch.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. So
what I would say.
whoever
Either
wins,
way,
whoever
Becky
wins
Lynch.
this thing, clearly Becky Lynch is next.
But I have a feeling that Liv's not going to give the match to Becky.
You think Stephanie would?
Yeah, because Stephanie even said tonight
wanna
backstage
prove
that
it.
she respects Becky.
Yes.
And I think I sense
that's
from
true.
Stephanie that she's the type of champion who would say, okay, Becky, you want it. You are right. You did help me. I'll give you a match.
And Liv Morgan has gone out of her way to say, I don't care about anybody who held the title before. I don't care about anybody who's holding the title after. I care about me, and I care about me as champion.
And I don't care what you say about my title reign and what I'm doing to the title that you worked hard to create. I don't care about it. I
And
don't
guess
care
what?
at all.
That sounds like a champion to me. A champion is not there to make the championship look better for the next person. The champion is there to hold that title for as long as they possibly can. And hopefully you have to pry it from their cold, dead hands. That's who a champion is. That's Liv.
That's who Liv is right now. And she's
And guess-
holding that title.
And a lot of doubters come around Liv, and they think because she's not defending it, she can't defend it.
No, she can. She beat Io Sky.
What happened when she went to SummerSlam against who you said is the greatest wrestler on the roster?
I did say that. She pinned Io Sky clean. There was involvement at some point, but did she pin her clean? Yes.
And it was a great match, wasn't it?
It was great. It was a great match. We enjoy different things out of our champions.
Yeah. I like a cutthroat champion.
Yeah.
I like somebody who's like, no, it's mine. You're gonna have to fight to get this back. Yeah, I don't like a champion going out there and being like, everybody gets a shot. Like, no. Now that I've got it, I like somebody who climbs up the ladder and then pulls it back up with them. You know what I mean? They find a rope ladder and then they climb up first and then they pull the rope ladder up with them. And it's like, you guys can figure out how to get up on your own. I climbed up the rope. I'm up here now.
It's crazy because you call me a hater.
That's true.
It's crazy.
That's true. You're a hater and I'm a winner. It's two different things, Megan. It's two completely different things. And that's what you have to lock into,
And it's wild because even though you say this, I'm the one who has no friends.
Weird, right?
Wild.
I don't know how.
Crazy.
Look, I don't know how it works out.
It just does.
People like a winner. What can I tell you? I tell you what people like is Topps Universe WWE. People love it so much. Topps Universe WWE 2026 returns for year 2, and it's available on the 11th of September. Pre-orders, by the way, are open right now at Topps.com. It's inspired by the larger-than-life personalities that make the WWE unforgettable. Universe WWE blends bold, cosmic-inspired artwork with immersive storytelling that celebrates legends, current champions, and the next generation of talent. This year builds on everything fans loved about the debut set. It's expanded, new inserts. There's the return of fan favorite designs like tag team relic autographs and an incredible mix of talent spanning every era of WWE. All of those, by the way, my eras. Collectors can chase premium autographs, authentic relics, vibrant parallels, and eye-catching inserts, making every single pack feel like a celebration of WWE's biggest moments and most iconic superstars. Whether you're ripping your first pack or you've been collecting for years, Topps Universe WWE 2026 has something worth chasing. Pre-order now on Topps.com. And I will say, you were talking about your daughter in that high chair that you built.
Yeah.
I always do enjoy when you send me pictures of you getting the Topps WWE packs. And at, 1-year-old, 2-year-old, teaching the next generation how to.
Oh,
rip.
I am.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I show her the Triple H card. I say, what does Triple H do? She goes,
That's great.
that's right. She knows. She spits water. It's
from
great.
from the mouth of babes.
Yes.
Yes.
Amazing.
I love it. Yeah. I ask my children, what does Triple H do? And they start crotch chopping.
That's amazing. We'll get there. We're not there yet.
Not
At 1
there
year
yet.
old, we don't know how to crotch chop.
Sure.
But we'll get there.
Sure. That's 3.
I think, yeah.
3.
I think 3 is when you start the crotch chop. That's what it said in my parenting guide.
I think so too. I think that's right. A couple of notes. Number
How long
one,
until we break that the baby goes through the high chair that I built.
you didn't build that high chair.
No, I did, but
That was a fabrication from start to finish.
We're gonna break that high chair, have a whole match with baby. I can't wait.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
awesome.
It's going to be
Yeah,
great. It's going to be
yeah.
great. Very mysterious vignette. September 14th. Something new is coming to Monday
Who
Night
could that
Raw.
be?
I don't know. It looked almost Floridian.
Yeah, maybe a little Miami.
Yeah.
You feeling that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Damian Priest seemed that he liked that a lot.
I mean, I would too if I were him.
Yeah.
If it's the person who I think it is, the women's division is going to go crazy. I have been if it's the person who I think it is, and who I think we all think it is, I cannot wait to see what she does on the main roster.
I'm looking forward to
It's
it.
going to be really,
Wait,
really
September
good.
14th?
That's what they say.
Soon.
Yes. And we have the finals, by the way, for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship #1 contenders tournament. It is locked in. Tonight, Penta defeated La Parka.
Yes.
Obviously, and great for La Parka to get some shine on Monday Night Raw and for the people to see Parka in all his Parka glory. And Rey Fénix defeated Dragon Lee in a sleeper of a match. And I say that because I don't think anybody realized how awesome it was going to be. Man, that cannonball that Dragon Lee
Through the table?
hit, between the two ropes onto the table, just knocking Fénix off of the thing.
Completely insane.
Just awesome. Awesome. It was one of those moments where Dragon Lee was like, listen, I have the opportunity to either go forward and potentially have a match with Roman Reigns or just be in the conversation. But while I'm in the conversation, I'm going to give people something to write home about. And Dragon Lee, I think, win or lose, showed a lot of people what he was all about tonight on Monday Night Raw. But we've got the Lucha Brothers, Rey Fénix and Penta, in the finals next week on Monday Night Raw. Winner will face Roman Reigns. Also on the 14th of September, I believe, right?
I think so.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. And in Mexico City. Very, very exciting. I've got to tell you, I think that this whole tournament and the last couple of weeks, something has sparked in Rey Fénix. You know, I think Penta going into anything is going to be a favorite. I think the idea of Penta going and finishing this tournament successfully has been something that's been on the mind of everybody since the tournament was announced.
Yes.
But I think if you look at what Rey Fénix is doing under everybody's nose with that AAA Cruiserweight Championship, being a part of Raw, NXT, SmackDown, and AAA all at the same time, and throughout this tournament, having some of the most memorable matches, I'm just saying right now, as much as we think we have everything locked away, I would not be even the slightest bit surprised if Rey Fénix versus Roman Reigns is the match we end up getting in Mexico City.
Dude, I'm right there with you.
And
I'm right there with you.
How amazing, because we've thought about what would, and I want to see Penta versus Roman Reigns as well. But as much as it's like, can you imagine what Penta versus Roman Reigns would look like? Can you imagine what Rey Fénix versus Roman Reigns would look like? If you want to show the world, everybody knows how amazing Penta is. And having a match with Roman Reigns would take him to another level for sure. But if you want to show the world what Rey Fénix is capable of, it's right there for you.
It is.
I am at the point now where if you had asked me 2-3 weeks ago, I would have told you Penta all day long. Now, based on what we've gotten from Rey Fénix over the last 2 to 3 weeks, I think it is completely anybody's game. And I think that the finals of this tournament next week are going to be one to write home about and one of those Raw matches that we're talking about for a long, long time.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I think it's something to really
It's been so fun to
look
watch
forward to.
Rey Fénix. I mean, this whole tournament has been a blast, right? You talk about Parka being on Monday Night Raw tonight and the world getting to see everything that he's capable of, the entrance, the match, all of it. But Rey Fénix, every match he's been in this tournament.
What are they chanting? This is awesome.
Yes.
Every single time. Yeah, I'm very excited that Penta and Rey Fénix are going to have the opportunity to absolutely tear it up on Monday Night Raw. I cannot wait to see it. We will be there to recap it all 7 days from now, next week, on the Raw recap here on WWE Now. So don't forget to subscribe across all audio platforms. Listen on WWE Radio there on SiriusXM channel 156. And, of course, on YouTube. Comment, like, and we'll see you again here on WWE Now.